Welcome back. We're going to take just a minute to go over some basic safety for power tools to make sure you're prepared to handle them in a way that won't ruin your day, so to speak. The very first thing you always want to do with any of these tools is put on your safety glasses. Not a big deal. See that? I'm done. I'm already safer. Wasn't that easy? Okay, we're going to start with air tools. The basics of an air tool is compressed air forces a small hammer pin down and shoots a nail out the end of this thing with high velocity and force. It's not going to stop in your hand, I assure you. These tools are amazing and can really speed up the processes of some of the things we're doing. This is a trim gun in particular, but they can also ruin your day. Funny story. A few years ago, I was working as an assistant superintendent at a construction site in Southern California. We were building 10 homes every 90 days or so. And a guy was walking around cleaning up debris and was bent over and managed to bang his head on the end of a nail gun where someone had wired up the trigger. Needless to say, he put a 4-inch nail, about 1/4 inch in diameter, into his brain. Now, what's funny is, not only did it not kill him miraculously enough, but he was back to work the next day with a little shaved spot and a Band-Aid. But the truth is, he was shockingly lucky. The x-ray picture was hilarious, by the way. Anyways, you want to be careful with these things. You never want to safety wire back the triggers. You want to stay clear of the end of the gun when you're shooting. Just be careful with them. All right, the next tool we want to talk about is basically a power drill. Everyone's like, yeah, I got one of those, big deal. How can the power drill be dangerous? Well, there's a couple of ways. One is if you're driving screws and it skips out of the screw head. I don't have a screw bit in here, but you get the idea. It never fails. That Phillips screw head is still going to stab right into you. And God, I've got scars from those. So skip stab is what we call them. But you want to be careful even when driving screws. Not only are the screws sharp, but the bit will slip out. Now, if you've got a drill bit in there like this or a hole saw bit, it will grab whatever gets in its way and entangle it as well. So if you've got a long sleeve shirt with a loose sleeve or anything like that, it'll grab it and it won't stop until the trigger's off and the motor is stopped. So you have to give them some respect. The other thing, especially on a larger drill like this, is they develop a lot of torque. They're very forceful, and if they hit something that they can't drill into and that blade locks on there, it will jerk that drill really hard. And I've seen guys sprain their wrist and have to wear wrist supports for a little while as a result of the twisting force of a drill that caught them off guard. So you want to be careful with that. This is a reciprocating saw. It's lovely. It helps us do a wide range of tasks that otherwise we might not be able to do. Did you get that? Want to get it? Want to get it? Ooh. They're awesome, but they will ruin your day if they're not treated with respect. That's an exposed blade. It's very sharp. And one of the things you have to be careful of is if your workpiece is not pressed right against the foot, it can hop around quite a bit and become a little unpredictable. So just always be thinking about how far that blade is going to go back away from you and make sure there's nothing in the way there. And also keep your hands clear, holding it firmly with 2 hands the whole time you're using it. Okay? Last tool we'll talk about real quick, and there are some other tools you're going to use, jigsaws and the like, that have to be treated with the same sort of respect. You want to steer clear of their blades and things like that. Circular saw is also another common saw for some of the repairs you might come across in your house. And basically, you've got a very sharp blade tied to a very strong motor. So you want to give it some respect as well. One of the things you have to watch for is called kickback. It's when the blade either gets tilted or it reaches a section of material with too much resistance and it makes the saw want to jerk like that. So you want to be careful with it that way. You never want to pull the safety out of the way or wire it up out of the way. The safety is there for a reason, and 99.9% of the tasks you'll do with this saw can be done with a fully functional safety, so there's no reason to mess with it. You want to use it with 2 hands whenever possible. Pay close attention to what's underneath what you're cutting as far as what's in the path of what you're cutting. And as always, with any tool that plugs in, when you're changing the blade or doing any sort of maintenance or making a modification to a setting, take a minute to unplug it. I want to make sure you're safe when you're tackling these projects.